So, Kampa, I got some brunch in me. So, Hawkeye's family is gone. And, and Captain Marvel saves Tony Stark. So, so Fury called Captain Marvel and said, "Oh," and she knows what the fuck's going on. So, Captain Marvel is like, "Oh shit!" She brings back Tony Stark and Nebula, and Nebula and Rocket, like friends, and yeah, and then they're in their compound and stuff like that, and Nebula is like, not Nebula. Captain Marvel's like, all right, okay, Tony Stark is okay now, and she's gonna go kill Thanos, and it's like, oh, where's Thanos go? And he just disappeared, but Rocket's like, oh, we found a signature of the time stones on this planet over here, so let's go there. So like, okay, let's all, they got the Benetard, Pat Benetard, and they're gonna go, fight Thanos and get the time stones and stuff like that. So okay, that's what then get all the Infinity Stones, and. Yeah, so they all gear up. It's the remaining Avengers, and Bruce Banner, War Machine, Thor, all the Avengers, right? So they're gonna like, okay, let's go, and then they warp over to the planet and stuff like that, and like, oh shit, what are they gonna do? And Captain Marvel goes down and is like, there's no army, there's nothing, there's no weapons or anything. And Nebula's like, oh, that's enough. If it's only Thanos, well, that's enough to kick her ass and stuff. So they go down there and they find Thanos, and he's all busted up and shit like that, and he's like, where are the Infinity Stones? And he's like, yeah, we know you used them recently. He's like, yeah, I used them to destroy them. And so they're like, yeah, they're gone. And Nebula's like, yeah, my father is not a liar. He's many things, but he's not a liar. So all the Infinity Stones are gone. And then, shockingly, I was like, holy, what the fuck? Thor just goes up, wham! Fucking chops his head off, and I'm like, holy shit, they just fucking killed fucking Thanos. And I was like, whoa, I know like Sherlock Holmes ejaculated, oh shit. I was like, whoa. If you ever read Sherlock Holmes, there is a lot of ejaculation in the writing of Sherlock Holmes. Like, what do you mean? Well, just read Sherlock Holmes. Everything's fucking ejaculated. So Thanos is dead, and the Infinity Stones are gone. And like, oh, fucking, this time I went for his head. Thor just fucking chops off his head, fucking exits. Like, I'm out. And then now we're like, what the fuck? Half of the universe is gone. Thanos is dead. The Infinity Stones are gone. What the fuck are we gonna do? And because I watched this and I've watched a lot of the spoiler reviews and stuff like that, apparently, in Western theaters, when they said 5 slowly 5 years later. People were like, "Oh shit! 5 years later! Wow!" That was like people were gasping and stuff like that. But fortunately or unfortunately for me, in Japan, they had subtitles. So as soon as the word 5 came up, the subtitles were like 5 years later. So I just read that. It was on in Japanese. It was like 5 years later. There's only three. Yeah. So I was like, okay, and then I was like, okay, catch up. Years. Yeah. We know it's 5 years later. So there were no gasps or anything in the theater, in my theater. So 5 years later, Thanos is dead. Everything's all fucked up. People are trying to move on, and you get shots of the city and the world. People are moving on. People are trying to go through therapy and stuff like that. And there was a cameo from one of the Russo brothers, and the rat touches the Scott Lang's van, and power on. He goes, if at the end of Ant-Man they disappeared, so they're supposed to turn the power back on, but and I don't know how that battery kept its charge for 5 years, or I guess it's a quantum something mega something. Anyway, it shoots him out, and it's like, hey, I'm back. And then it's like, what the fuck is going on? That's what you see in the trailers, like, hey. And I don't know if there was a cameo. I don't know the kid that was on the bicycle in the movie. I don't know if that was a special kid, but he didn't say anything. But it's like, just kept riding on. And then Scott's like, hey, I was in the quantum realm. Time is manipulated differently. What if we could use that to our advantage? And they go over to Tony Stark and Iron Man, and it's like, hey, what do you think? It's like, so after the snap, Tony and Potts had their daughter, and he's like, yeah, but I've moved on. I've got my kid. And that's cool. I don't want to, if I go back in time and do something, screw up something and die or something like that, I want to have my life with my kids and stuff, with my kid. So, that, Tony didn't want to, just like, I'm out. I moved on. And it's like, yeah. So what are they going to do? I mean, so they're like, we need to get another big brain. So they go over to Banner, which merged. When he killed Thanos, he was in the Hulk Buster armor, and then when he fought with later, after 5 years later, he has merged the Hulk with Banner to become Professor Hulk. Which is, he's not as, massively powerful as the Hulk, but, he does have, the mind of Banner, so, and that wasn't shown in the trailer, so, it was theorized, but, yeah. And then, so they're like, okay, let's try the time travel stuff. So Banner's not a time travel expert, so he gives it a go, and then screws up and stuff. But Tony's also working on it. So yeah, let's give it a go, see what happens. And Tony figures it out. He figures out how to control the position through the wormholes or the quantum realm. So it's like, yeah, I think we can do it. We can program ourselves and move ourselves through time. So it's like. And this is the mid part of the movie where they're like, okay, so Ant-Man is like, okay, so we just got to go back there and get the things and then not interact with ourselves and stuff like that, and then come back and the reality will be changed, and we'll But this is the problem with the time traveling, in that it wasn't really, it was kind of explained, is that you cannot go back in time and change your past and then come back to a different reality. Because your timeline is your timeline. The problem is you cannot jump from one timeline to another timeline. That's the limitation. So if you go back and kill Hitler, you'll go back to your time and then go back to the future. You will go back to your future, not to the future where Hitler didn't exist and there was a. You will not go to the future of the alternate timeline. That's not possible. That's a higher dimension. That's a fifth or sixth or something like that. So, so they pull out a bunch of time travel reference, like, yeah, but in like Back to the Future they did that and stuff like that, and it's like, yeah, Back to the Future was wrong. That you can't go into the future of alternate timelines and still be yourself. It would be a different reality. And maybe I haven't explained it well enough, but yeah, if you go, should have used a pencil and drawn this shit out, or maybe I'll do that, or maybe I'll just do that, a picture over what I'm saying right now. That'd be a good idea. Cut. So, you would have your past is still your past, will always be your past. But what you do is you go back and you. So what they wanted to do is they wanted to go back in time, get the Infinity Stones, and then undo Thanos' snap to make everyone come back, and then put those time stones back into the same timeline so that Thanos would still get all the Infinity Stones, still kill half of the universe, and still go off and go to the world, and they would still kill Thanos, and then after 5 years they would still, all of the timeline would continue the same way it was, because they wouldn't change what happened. And I use quote unquote because of infinity, because the timeline exists, and the butterfly effect. There are minute changes to everything, and every single change would throw off. Oh shit! Oh, fucking Iron Man fell down. Every change would throw off an alternate reality. But what we are, the viewer, the movie watcher, we are following the timeline that the Avengers, the 1 out of 14 million alternate realities where the Avengers win. That's the timeline we're following. There are 14 million and whatever that they don't win. We don't follow that timeline. We follow the one where they win. And they're like, well, 14 million, and there's only one that we win. Yeah, 14 million out of infinity is nothing. If there was like 300 million, a billion, million, gazillion. There are so many ways the Avengers win. But, Doctor Strange only followed one. So, we're going with the one that he won. So, it's like, yeah, okay, out of infinity, there's fucking shit. There's an infinite scenarios where the Avengers won. But we're following the one path that the Avengers won. So, it's kind of like built up like, oh shit, out of 14 million, there's only one way we can win. No, out of infinity, there's a fucking infinity of ways you can win. Because it's infinite. There's no stopping the ways that you can win. There's infinity minus one or something like that, where you don't win. So, yeah. And that's the nice story. It's like, okay, let's watch the story where the Avengers win. Okay? There's a bunch of different stories where the Avengers wins. There's a bunch of different stories where the Avengers don't win. But we're following one of the ways that the Avengers win. Out of those 14 million that Strange saw. He didn't see infinity. He didn't see all the other ways that they win. He just saw that one way. And that's where we are. Okay, so shit, where was I in the story? So yeah, we're doing the time travel stuff. So Tony Stark figures out the way to do the GPS, and they have to go back in time. And there's people, the Avengers that are still alive. The Hulk, and they're gonna try to get the time stones from different points in time. They don't have a lot of. This is the bottleneck. They don't have a lot of Pym particles to. They don't have many chances to, shrink down and then to quantum size to travel through the network to test the stuff. So, yeah, and it's kind of strange because they do. Yeah, they do. Well, okay, so yeah, they need more Pym particles to become very tiny. And so they can only do maybe one trip per team. So they need to divide up into 3 teams. And Tony Stark, Captain America, and Ant-Man are going to try to get 3 Infinity Stones in New York. War Machine, Nebula are going to go to where the Guardians got their Power Stone, and Thor and Rocket are going to go to Asgard, I think, and the Dark World, and what was the last? And Scarlet Witch and Hawkeye are going to go get the Soul Stone. So 4 teams. And it's cool. They do the traveling. They go through time, and they're like shenanigans ensue, and trying to get the Tesseract, the Space Stone. Loki in 2012 version gets the Tesseract and teleports out, and which screws them from getting the Tesseract, which means that they have to go over to get to go back instead of going using the pin particles to go forward in time. They have to go back in time even some more to go back to the 70s where um, Pym was making the pin particles and the Tesseract was in U.S. Possession because of Hydra and all that stuff. So they got that the Mind Stone, and they got the all of the stones, and all those three guys warp forward. Rocket and Thor. Oh, I didn't even explain how to get Thor. So they had to go get the group back together. And that's a fun bit of stuff. It's like, So that was good. Thor was really funny. So then Nebula and War Machine get the Power Stone. And they try to go back to the future. But Nebula's her electronics, her technology gets warped because there are two nebulas in the same time. So they are communicating with each other, and it's Thanos can see what the future nebula knows and stuff like that. So it's a problem. And so Nebula gets captured. The future Nebula gets captured in the past. And the last group, Hawkeye and Scarlet and Black Widow. I thought this was it was good. It was a nice. It was nice to see them two together. They look like they've grown a lot over 10 years. And yeah, it was nice. And at the end, they're like, okay, well, we know how you got to lose the one person you love. And Hawkeye's lost his whole family. So who else does he love? He loves, Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow. They've been friends for a long time. Scarlett Johansson had nothing, and she says this in the movie. It's like, but I got a family and you guys. And her best friend is Hawkeye. So they both love each other, and they're the last remaining, so it's like, okay, so one of us has to, go down, and so they're like, yeah, tell my Hawkeye will sacrifice himself to bring his family back to reality. And it's like, and Scarlett Johansson's like, yeah, but I love you guys, and I will sacrifice myself to bring your family back to you. And it was really moving, and yeah, I was like, wow, that was good stuff. And it was a battle to, who's gonna be the the least, who's gonna be the most sacrificial, who's gonna be the least person who wants to, be alive, or it's weird. But yeah, it's Black Widow. She takes one for the team, and the saying, okay, later on we'll talk about what happened. This is gonna be fucking an hour and a half shit. So they get all the stones back, and they're like, okay, we got all the stones. Oh yeah, let's put them all into a gauntlet made by Stark Tech, and Thor's like, I can do it. I'm gonna do it. I want to snap. Thor's riddled with guilt for not chopping off Thanos' head. when he had the chance. And the Hulk, he takes it. It's like, it's mostly Gamma stuff. I'm the strongest Avenger. And he's like, yeah, I can do it. And because he's got the Banner brain and stuff like that, so he's like, yeah, I can do it. And Tony's like, just bring everyone back. Don't make us lose the last 5 years. And he's like, okay. So he does it, snaps it. Everybody comes back. But while they were doing that, Nebula, the future Nebula, the past Nebula captured the future Nebula. They all and they saw what the future held, and so they swapped places. And so Nebula came back to the present time. The past Nebula came forward to the present time, and then she also flipped a bunch of switches to bring the past Thanos into the future. And so while the Hulk was snapping everyone back into reality, it's like, yeah, we did it. Thanos from the past came to the future. It's like, oh yeah, I already know that you got all the Infinity Gauntlets. I'm just gonna wait the Infinity Stones. I'm just gonna wait here to get them all, and then I'll just do what I wanted to do and stuff like that. So he in his ship, he just blows the shit out of the Avengers headquarters, and this starts a part 3. So I guess this was this an hour and a half video is going to be about part 1, part 2, part 3 of the movie. It was just so good. It was like, wow, that was so good. And I'm still talking, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff to talk about. All right, guys, this is the next 30 minutes of this video. So come by, bye bye.